Today we're going to introduce you to the story of a very special little girl who was born with a very delicate condition and had to fight for her life from the day she was born. Did she manage to turn it around? Having a baby is an exciting time which involves a lot of affection and love from pregnancy to the arrival of the little one in the world. Despite all the good things that happen, there can also be numerous very stressful situations, as things may not go as expected. It's natural for first-time parents to worry about any possibility of a bad scenario. After all, feelings are new and they don't quite know how to deal with it. They hope with all their might that their children will come into the world healthy and perfect, but this isn't always the case. Karen Rodas and Paul Ribbigan went through a real nightmare and experienced the fear of when things go really wrong. Karen was 9 months pregnant, and the two of them couldn't wait to see their baby's face. Anxiety was taking over. The time of delivery was getting closer and closer when Karen's water broke. They rushed to the hospital as quickly as possible. Contrary to what the young mother had imagined, her delivery was super quick and smooth. When little Natalia, the couple's first child, was born, they were very emotional. Paul couldn't hold back tears as he went with his little girl, but something terrible was about to happen. Everything seemed perfect with little Natalia, but unfortunately, they had to say goodbye to her just 36 hours after she was born, as the newborn couldn't make it and died. They were confused and didn't understand what was happening. Paul thought that at any moment the nurses would bring his baby back alive, but despite the hours flying by, that didn't happen. The doctor responsible for the situation decided to give them some time to absorb the information, but he needed to tell them what had actually happened to the couple's daughter. He explained that little Natalia had been born with a serious illness that directly affected her kidneys. The main characteristic of this condition is the development of cysts in the kidneys, which often leads to kidney failure, and unfortunately this was fatal for the baby who had just come into the world. The couple was devastated, but they proved to be stronger than they had ever imagined before. Despite all the pain they were feeling, they found support in each other to move forward. The two thought they'd never be parents again, but fate had already planned something amazing for them. Karen became pregnant again. The two were very nervous and anxious about the news, but they were also very happy. Everything would work out this time, wouldn't it? The pregnancy was very healthy and without many problems, until finally little Maddie came into the world. Karen couldn't stop thinking about the birth of her first child. She hoped that everything would work out. Maddie needed to survive. They didn't know it, but they were about to receive sad news. History began to repeat itself as the couple's new daughter had been born with exactly the same disease as Natalia. However, this time everything would be different. She started to be treated the moment she was born, but unfortunately she had to spend 7 weeks after her birth in the hospital. But that time was vital in deciding her future. Maddie was a strong child and was willing to survive, but the doctors had no good news. The little one would have to hang on until she was old enough to have surgery. But the odds were good as her illness was not as advanced as her sister's. Time passed and they decided not to worry so much but to enjoy every minute with their daughter. But they wouldn't be able to put their worry aside for long as just 1 year old, the girl's belly began to swell. Doctors had already warned that this would happen, but that wasn't enough to prepare the couple mentally. The poor child's baby was the size of a soccer ball, but it hadn't reached the limit yet because it didn't stop growing. Every day it seemed even bigger. It broke the hearts of those parents to see their little daughter in that state. They didn't understand why they had to go through all that again. They thought it was some divine punishment. But that child was so innocent. How could it be a punishment? They received news that broke their hearts. Turned out that their 2 daughters were born with the same disease, not by coincidence, but by a hereditary disorder that caused the kidneys to lose their function over time, and even double in size, leaving her belly like Maddie's. Maddie's grandparents were carriers of the disease, and the couple, even though they were healthy people, also carried the recessive gene that was responsible for Natalia and Maddie's conditions. The chances of a child of the couple surviving were extremely low. And even so, the little girl who had just arrived in the world fought with all her strength to survive. But these cysts can also end up developing in the liver or even in other parts of the body, and can cause numerous complications such as high blood pressure. Despite being a very serious case, there are numerous treatments that can reduce kidney damage. However, Maddie was no longer reacting to any kind of treatment. Her body couldn't stand food, and the little one felt weaker every day, sleeping up to 18 hours a day due to the lack of energy. Karen and Paul were desperate to save their daughter, and they lived in a constant state of stress as they knew there was only one solution left for Maddie's case – a kidney transplant. Despite her condition being managed from the day of birth, Karen and Paul feared every day of their life for their now 18-month-old daughter, as they knew a 100% compatible kidney would not be found anytime soon. The two parents were willing to do anything to make sure Maddie didn't have the same fate as her sister, but they were about to receive some incredible news. Paul Ribikin, father of little Maddie, was fortunately identified as a donor. His kidney was compatible with his daughter's. The couple couldn't be happier. Was this long stage of their lives finally over? Well, the big day of the surgery had arrived. Month of January 2006 was marked in their minds as one of the happiest of their lives. Paul told a doctor who congratulated him after the successful surgery, "I'm not a hero. Any father would have done what I did for my daughter. I would give so much more than my kidney. I would give the whole world if I could." The couple was fulfilled in knowing that Maddie could grow up to be a happy child. Even though Paul doesn't like being labeled a hero, he saved his daughter's life and gave her a chance to live. Karen added it's normal for a child to lose a mother at some point in their life, but it hurts even more when a mother loses a child. The pain is infinitely greater. What Paul did comes down to just one word: love. Maddie will have to undergo more treatments throughout her life, but for sure she'll have a long and happy life. Next to this amazing family who did everything to save her, the couple intends to adopt a child as they want to have a large family, but Karen can't get pregnant anymore, as the chances of another baby being born with the same condition is more than 25%. But that won't stop them from giving some siblings for Maddie. I'm sure you were moved by this beautiful story. Thanks for watching.